Welcome to Bible in a Year with Scott Purcell. I'm so glad you're joining me. This is a daily reading of portions of the Bible, following a plan that will include the entire Bible in a year. And now, let's open the book and begin our readings. This is the reading for day 19. If your reading is aligned with the calendar year, this is for January 19. The Old Testament reading is from Genesis 38 and Genesis 39. Genesis 38. And it happened that at that time Judah went down from his brothers and pitched his tent near a certain Adulamite, whose name was Hira. And Judah saw the daughter of a certain Canaanite there, whose name was Shua. And he took her and went in to her. And she conceived and bore a son, and he called his name And she conceived again and bore a son, and he called his name Onan. And once again she bore a son, and she called his name Shelah. And he was in Chezib when she bore him. And Judah took a wife for his firstborn, and her name was Tamar. And the firstborn of Judah, was evil in the sight of Yahweh, and Yahweh killed him. Then Judah said to Onan, Go in to the wife of your brother, and perform the duty of a brother-in-law to her, and raise up offspring for your brother. But Onan knew that the offspring would not be for him, so whenever he went in to the wife of his brother, he would waste it on the ground so as not to give offspring to his brother. And what he did was evil in the sight of Yahweh, so he killed him also. Then Judah said to Tamar, his daughter-in-law, Stay a widow in your father's house until Shelah my son grows up, for he feared he would also die like his brother. So Tamar went and stayed in the house of her father. And in the course of time, the daughter of Shua, the wife of Judah, died. When Judah was consoled, he went up to his sheep shearers, he and his friend Hira the Adulamite, to Timnah. And it was told to Tamar, Look, your father-in-law is going up to Timnah to shear his sheep. So she removed the clothes of her widowhood, and covered herself with the veil, and disguised herself. And she sat at the entrance to Enaim, which is on the way to Timnah, for she saw that Shelah was grown, but she had not been given to him as a wife. And Judah saw her, and reckoned her to be a prostitute, for she had covered her face. And he turned aside to her at the roadside, and said, Please come, let me come in to you. For he did not know that she was his daughter-in-law. And she said, What will you give to me, that you may come in to me? And he said, I will send a kid from the goats of the flock. And she said, Only if you give a pledge until you send it. And he said, What is the pledge that I must give you? And she said, Your seal, your cord, and your staff that is in your hand. And he gave them to her, and went in to her, and she conceived by him. And she arose and left, and she removed her veil from herself, and put on the garments of her widowhood. And Judah sent the kid from the goats by the hand of his friend the Adulamite to take back the pledge from the hand of the woman, but he could not find her. So he asked the men of her place, saying, Where is that cult prostitute that was at Enaim by the roadside? And they said, There is no cult prostitute here. Then he returned to Judah and said, I could not find her. Moreover, the men of the place said, There is no cult prostitute here. And Judah said, Let her take them for herself, lest we be laughed at. Behold, I sent this kid, but you could not find her. And about 3 months later it was told to Judah, Tamar, your daughter-in-law, has played the whore, and now, behold, she is conceived by prostitution. And Judah said, Bring her out, and let her be burned. She was brought out, but she sent to her father-in-law, saying, By the man to whom these belong I have conceived. And she said, Now discern to whom these belong, the seal, and cord, and the staff. Then Judah recognized them, and said, She is more righteous than I, since I did not give her to my son Shelah. And he did not know her again, And it happened that at the time she gave birth, that, behold, twins were in her womb. And it happened that at her labor one child put out a hand, and the midwife took it, and tied a crimson thread on his hand, saying, This one came out first. Then his hand drew back, and behold, his brother came out. And she said, What a breach you have made for yourself. And she called his name Perez. And afterward his brother, who had the crimson thread on his hand, came out, and his name was called Zerah. Genesis 39. Now Joseph had been brought down to Egypt, and Potiphar, a court official of Pharaoh, commander of the guard, an Egyptian, bought him from the hand of the Ishmaelites who had brought him down there. And Yahweh was with Joseph, and he became a successful man. And he was in the house of his master the Egyptian, and his master observed that Yahweh was with him, and everything that was in his hand to do, Yahweh made successful. And Joseph found favor in his eyes, and he served him. Then he appointed him over his house, and all that he owned he put into his hand. And it happened that from the time he appointed him over his house and over all that he had, Yahweh blessed the house of the Egyptian on account of Joseph. And the blessing of Yahweh was upon all that he had in the house and in the field. And he left all that he had in the hand of Joseph, and did not worry about anything except the food that he ate. Now Joseph was well built and handsome. And it happened that after these things his master's wife cast her eyes on Joseph, and she said, Lie with me. But he refused, and said to his master's wife, Look, my master does not worry about what is in the house, and everything he owns he has put in my hand. He has no greater authority in this house than me, and he has not withheld anything from me except you, since you are his wife. Now, how could I do this great wickedness and sin against God? And it happened that as she spoke to Joseph day after day, he did not heed her to lie beside her or to be with her. But one particular day he came into the house to do his work, and none of the men of the house were there in the house. She seized him by his garment and said, Lie with me. And he left his garment in her hand and fled, and he went outside. And it happened that when she saw that he left his garment in her hand and fled outside, she called to the men of the house and said to them, Look, he brought a Hebrew man to us to mock us. He came to me to lie with me, and I cried out with a loud voice. And when he heard me, that I raised my voice and called out, he left his garment beside me and fled, and he went outside. Then she put his garment beside her until his master came to his house. Then she spoke to him according to these words, saying, The Hebrew slave that you brought to us came to me to make fun of me. And it happened that as I raised my voice and called out, he left his garment beside me and fled outside. And when his master heard the words of his wife that she spoke to him, This is what your servant did to me, he became very angry. And Joseph's master took him and put him into prison, the place that the king's prisoners were confined, and he was there in prison. And Yahweh was with Joseph, and showed loyal love to him, and gave him favor in the eyes of the chief of the prison. And the chief of the prison put all the prisoners that were in the prison into the hand of Joseph, and everything that was done there, he was the one who did it. The chief of the prison did not worry about anything in his hand, since Yahweh was with him. And whatever he did, Yahweh made it successful. The New Testament reading is from Matthew 13, verses 36 through 58. Matthew 13:36. Then he left the crowds and came into the house, and his disciples came to him, saying, Explain the parable of the darnel in the field to us. So he answered and said, The one who sows the good seed is the Son of Man, and the field is the world. And the good seed, these are the sons of the kingdom, but the darnel are the sons of the evil one. And the enemy who sowed them is the devil, and the harvest is the end of the age, and the reapers are angels. Thus, just as the darnel is gathered and burned with fire, so it will be at the end of the age. The Son of Man will send out his angels, and they will gather out of his kingdom all the causes of sin and those who do lawless deeds, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Then the righteous will shine like the sun in the kingdom of their Father. The one who has ears, let him hear. The kingdom of heaven is like a treasure hidden in a field that a man found and concealed. And in his joy he goes and sells everything he has and buys that field. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a merchant searching for fine pearls. And when he found one very valuable pearl, he went and sold everything that he possessed and purchased it. Again, the kingdom of heaven is like a dragnet that was thrown into the sea and gathered fish of every kind, which when it was filled they pulled to shore and sat down and collected the good fish into containers, but the bad they threw out. Thus it will be at the end of the age. The angels will go out and separate the evil from among the righteous, and throw them into the fiery furnace. In that place there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Have you understood all these things? They said to him, Yes. And he said to them, For this reason every scribe who has been trained for the kingdom of heaven is like the master of the house, who brings out of his storeroom new things and old things. And it happened that when Jesus had finished these parables, he went away from there. And he came to his hometown and began to teach them in their synagogue, so that they were amazed and said, From where did this man get this wisdom and these miracles? Is not this one the son of the carpenter? Is not his mother called Mary, and his brothers James and Joseph and Simon and Judas? Are not all his sisters with us? From where, then, did this man get all these things? And they were offended by him. But Jesus said to them, A prophet is not without honor except in his own hometown and in his own household. And he did not perform many miracles in that place because of their unbelief. The wisdom literature reading is from Psalm 11, verses 1 through 7. Psalm 11. For the music director, of David, In Yahweh I have taken refuge. How can you say to my soul, Flee to your mountain like a bird? For look, the wicked string a bow. They have fitted their arrow to the string to shoot from the darkness at the upright of heart. When the foundations are destroyed, what can the righteous do? Yahweh is in his holy temple. Yahweh is in the heavens on his throne. His eyelids see, they test the children of humankind. Yahweh tests the righteous, but the wicked and the lover of violence his soul hates. He will rain coals on the wicked, burning sulfur and scorching wind will be the portion of their cup. For Yahweh is righteous, he loves righteous deeds. The upright shall see his face. This concludes the reading for day 19. Thank you for listening. These daily readings are made possible by your generous support of the Global Outreach Ministry of Scott Purcell. To partner with us and enable this work and others like it, please visit huttobible.com/give and select Go Pastor Support from the fund list. You can also sign up for ministry updates at scott-purcell.epistle.org/subscribe. Both of those links can be found in the podcast description. Thank you for helping us share God's Word.